In this video, we're going to publish our entity, turning what we built into a version that the whole organization can actually use, not just you. In the previous videos, we put together the customer entity from end to end. We defined its fields, arranged its layout, and loaded records. The entity is ready, but there's a detail you may not have noticed. Up until now, everything we did lives as a draft, here inside business entities, in this configuration space. Only people who manage the entities get into configuration. The people who are going to use customer in their day-to-day don't reach this area, so for them, the entity doesn't exist yet. Publishing it is what puts it within their reach, and that's what we're doing today. While we're building our entity, it lives as a draft. A draft is our workspace. We can change it as many times as we want, and while it stays in that draft state, nobody else is using it to work with. And here's something worth pointing out. Your entity is already a version 1.0. Look up top, above the configuration tabs, at the version bar. On the left, a selector shows you which version you're on, 1.0.0, and next to it, its status, draft. The idea of this video is simple. We take that 1.0.0 and walk it up a few steps until it's published and active, ready for the whole organization to work with. A version climbs a ladder of 3 states, draft, RC, and published, and we'll climb it step by step. If you've already published a process, this ladder will feel familiar, because it's the same one Qamaq uses to version anything you publish. Here, we just apply it to your entity. All of this is handled from that same version bar, with the buttons next to the status. Right now, the status is draft. It's yours, private, and editable, which is why we could make mistakes and redo fields all series long without affecting anyone. To take it to production, we have to move up, and from draft the only way is RC. You can't jump straight to published. So we click the button that says RC. A window opens for us to invite the people who are going to test the version. And look, the testers are going to be able to use this version of the entity while it's in RC, but the rest of the organization keeps using the active published version until we promote it to publish. That's RC. That's release candidate. It's our dress rehearsal. The version is still editable, just like in draft. Qamaq itself makes that clear when it says we can still edit the RC version. What changes now is that a small group can test it for real, with real data, without affecting anyone else. For this example, I'll leave just myself as a tester and confirm by clicking Promote to RC. Look at the status bar, it already changed to RC. Now that we're in RC, to publish it, 2 paths appear. One to go back to draft, if we need to keep adjusting, and another that says Publish. Since the version has already been tested, we click Published. And here, Qamaq shows us an important warning, because this step is the one that really locks things down. Once published, the version stays fixed. No changes can be saved to it. Its schema, its fields, everything stays exactly as it is. If later on you need to change something, you don't touch what's published. You create a new version, and we'll see that in a few minutes. We confirm with Change to Published. The bar now says Published. The version is already published. There's one step that people usually skip. Published isn't the same as active. You can have several published versions coexisting, but only one is the active one, the one used by default to work with the entity and to create new records. So now that the version is in published, on that same bar an Activate button appears, and we click it. We confirm, and Qamaq says it clearly. This becomes the default version we use to create records. If there was another one active, it gets deactivated. In our case, this is the first, so it simply becomes active. We click the Activate Version button. The version is activated successfully, and rest easy about your data. The records you already loaded, customer, are still there. Publishing and activating 1.0.0 doesn't touch them, because we didn't change its shape. Only now is the entity truly ready for the whole organization to work with it. And before closing, the most important concept, so we don't trip up later. What you edit and what the organization uses are not the same thing. What the organization uses is the published and active version, 1.0.0 in this case, And as we've seen, it stays fixed. So how do you change something on the entity? Add a value, adjust schemas, without breaking anyone's work? You don't touch 1.0. In the Builder header, there's a Create New Version button. With it, you spin off a new version from the one you already have, and that new version starts again in draft so you can work on it calmly. When you create it, Qamaq proposes the next number and lets you choose the type of change. A patch for small fixes would be 1.0.1. A minor change for something new that's compatible, like adding a field, would be 1.11.0. Or a major change for something that breaks compatibility, like removing fields or changing types, would be 2.0.0. We add a label and change notes, which over time become history. While you work on that new version in draft, the whole organization keeps using the published 1.0.0 without noticing. Only when you climb the ladder and activate it does it become what everyone uses. That separation is what lets you improve your entity without fear. You experiment on the new version with everything you need, and what's published and in use doesn't change until you decide. Recapping today's path, we took version 1.0.0 of Customer, the one we already had in draft, and we walked it up the ladder from draft to RC, from RC to publish, and we activated it. The entity is now published and active, ready for the organization to work with it. And you learned the key reflex for the future. To change something, you don't touch the version in use. You create a new one and work on it calmly until you publish it. And something to take with you beyond the entity, that ladder from draft to RC, to publish and activate, is Qamaq's standard way of versioning what you publish. It's the same as what you saw when publishing a process, and it's what you'll find in other sections where things get published and versioned. So at this pace, you already know how to read it anywhere, even though each section adds its own details. With the entity published and active, it stops being something that only gets built here in configuration. For day-to-day work, your user already has it at hand, in the Business Records submenu, which is where they consult and manage their records, ready and within reach of whoever's going to use it.